Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to our Stevens Plantation Improvement Project meeting of this DSD Board, this June the 24th, 2021. If there are no objections, I'll call this meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Chairman Blackwell?
Here.
Vice Chairman Trace?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
Member Askew?
Here.
Madam Clerk, will you read the first resolution there?
Resolution number 2021-007R, a resolution of the Board of the Stevens Plantation Improvement Project Dependent Special District approving and accepting a third amendment to certain agreement dated December 8, 2017, as amended to sell Tract 4 and 5 of Stevens Plantation Corporate Campus, approximately 4 acres of real property to Madison Grove, LLC, for $1 million, and authorizing the chairman to execute the third amendment and all documents necessary to complete the sale.
Thank you. Is there someone here to speak?
Well, I think I'll introduce you, Mr. Chairman, and then Mr. Bannock and Mr. Oliver are here from Madison Grove, and they can address you as needed. So, as you're familiar with this contract, we've been under contract with Madison Grove since December of 2017, as they've been working to put their facility on the corporate campus property located in Stevens. They are currently on the contract for tracks 4 and 5 at the corporate campus, which is about 4 acres. It's the total contract price is $1 million for both of those tracks. As you know, this contract has been conditioned upon them obtaining certain financing through the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, which, as you've heard multiple times, and they certainly can talk more about that as needed, that is an application process based on points and based on a whole lot of things that they're much more familiar with than I am. The last amendment to this agreement allowed for them to continue with the going through that process to obtain the necessary financing. The deadline under that agreement was June 30th of this year, which is why it's coming back before you. At this time, we're looking at, they've asked for, and staff is recommending, a reinstatement of this agreement for another year that would allow for them to go through the financing process to attemptly get this tax credit financing. As they've done in the past with every one of the extensions we've had in this, they've continued to offer to pay the taxes and the assessments on the lots. So essentially, there's no cost to the DSD to keep the carry on it. As you know, that's the carry cost that the DSD has to absorb every time these contracts get extended. And so again, as they've done in the past, they have again agreed to pay that. The resolution that's in front of you had a minor typo in it. That amount is actually $25,000. That the resolution says $20,000, and they've agreed that the cap on the amount of the tax assessments, the taxes and the assessments on it would be capped at $25,000, which is consistent with the amount that's owed on these two tracks. So this new amendment would would allow them until August 26th of this year to apply for the financing, and then if they obtain the financing, they would close on it by March 30th of 2022. And we are recommending to move forward with this. In your packet, at least at your chairs, you should have received a letter from Veronica Malolos, who's the listing broker. Unfortunately, she was not able to be here tonight. She did provide information on this. We asked her to provide information about what was kind of going on in the market and whether there were any, the big question is there anybody else interested in these lots? She's provided you information on it. Two of the points that we'd like to point out as staff, obviously the purchase price is, well, when we entered into this agreement, it was probably well above market. Now it's still above market, just maybe not as above the market value. So it still is an above market value. By contrast, we have under contract the two adjacent tracks that are in the contract for about $875,000 for both of those tracks. So I'm not trying to negotiate against ourselves, but they've also, as I said, Madison has also paid the tax assessments on it. They also accommodated the DSD to switch the lots so that we could put those other two lots on the tracks, as you recall from the last amendment. So we think they've been a good partner trying to work through this and to be able to move forward, hopefully get to a closing, and we're recommending that the DSD board approve this third amendment.
What does the Veronica letter look like? I'm sorry, is it Capital Stack?
Yes, yeah, that's the name of her new company.
Okay, 'cause it doesn't have her name on it.
It doesn't. It's not even on the second page.
Yeah, in the address. of-
Yeah, Veronica Malolo switched from Remax to Capital Stocks, and that's, and the first part of her, I think, of that report talks about the Madison Grove contract. She also provided some comments on the other properties that she has marketed.
While they're looking at that, would the applicant like to speak to this item?
I would. Hi, good evening. Stacy Bannock. Address is 558 West New England, and we're in Winter Park. I know y'all have seen me before because we've been trying this for a long time. And here we are again. So, you know, I just wanted to just kind of say, Dan's always so good at presenting this and, you know, giving you the background. But what I would like to add is that, you know, that one thing I think that's important is that Florida Housing, where we get our tax credits from, we apply every year, they have beginning to recognize local governments that have been working with developers and having a partnership. They're recognizing that, and they're putting that into their RFAs now. I don't know if you had a chance. I had provided a letter to Bill and to Dan previously, and but basically, what's happening is we about 2 years ago, in 2019 cycle, when we applied, we got the local government. It was the first time that we had actually asked for, you know, from funding from the city to help us with our application. And we were in a pool. There was 181 total applications submitted that year. Because we had received that funding, we were one of 4 applications that got to be picked between 23 applicants. So basically, because we got that funding, they were picking 4 out of 23. That was how that went that year. So we had, you know, they were better odds than we had ever seen before. Then, next year, Florida Housing, again, recognizing that we're working with the local government continuously, put in place where they went down and they did, hey, we're going to separate that 4. We're going to do 4 again for applicants that get that local government support. But they broke it up and they said, hey, everyone that submitted the previous year and got local government support, we're going to give you guys an advantage. You're the first 2 to get picked. So that's last year we had really good odds. It was 2 out of 13. And then they said, hey, the next 2 are going to be if you have local government support again, but only if you didn't get it the previous year. So we were only able to apply for those 2 out of 13, but they were still amazing odds, and we just didn't get the lottery number. So it's unfortunately, it's the way it works. This year, they're doing something even more drastic. What they're doing is they're saying, hey, if you submitted in 2019 and 2020 and you resubmit again, you're actually going to be able to have 6 chances, right? So what the first one is there's only 9, with us, there's only 9 developers in the entire state of Florida that have the odds of getting the first 2 picks. So our odds are 2 out of 9 for the first go around, which are, you know, it's even better. and then also what they're doing differently this year is we get the next 2 out of 11, which are if you submitted last year. So previously they weren't allowing us to do that. Now they're doing it. And they're saying this year you get the next 2 is if you have local government support. So basically we fit all of those applications that qualify for local government support. We fit them all. So I mean I almost want to tell you it's almost impossible for us not to get it this year, but I'm not going to say that because we've been trying for a long time and we haven't had good lottery numbers. But here we have such an advantage over everybody else in the state of Florida for the medium counties. We're back again. We want to try and ask for the support again and continue the contract. And then we've also done a couple other things. Florida Housing has moved up their timelines. So normally we can't submit till October, November, and then we have to have a contract that's valid through June or July of the following year. This year, the applications are due August 26th, and then we'll know in September where we sit. And then they release the lottery numbers, and then we'll actually have a contract that's I think has to be valid till February 22nd or 28th, somewhere in that range. So it's a much they've expedited the process this year, which I think is great. So we don't have to sit on the property as long as well. But we're really thinking this is going to be the year. So I'm here to answer any questions, and we know that this is going to be there'll be a second meeting because we'll have to ask for the support as well as usual. So I guess first step is contract, and then second step would be the support.
Well, on the second piece of that, which is a city council issue, I've got to look at that approval, but I think we couched that approval to tie in with this agreement. So if
Yes.
this agreement goes away, that approval goes away.
That's correct.
So we may not have to bring it back to you as a city council. I think that might still be in place, but we'll obviously take care of that.
Okay. Do we have any questions from council? Councilmember Matheny?
I do, thank you. So this is a project that I support. It's just this has been dragging on since 2017, so I want to ask a few questions.
Sure.
So they're paying the taxes and assessments, but are we completely paid up? Because I know for a while we were like in arrears, but this property, are we like completely paid up with assessments and taxes?
This will keep us, this will pay the 2019 assessments, and then the 2020s will still be there. But our agreement with the bondholders is that would be paid out of the closing proceeds. So the city, the DSD would not have to pay the last year of those taxes. So there will be no cost to the DSD to pay the taxes and the assessment.
If it closes?
If it closes.
If it doesn't close, then we are still on the hook for those taxes
Yes, if it
and
doesn't,
fees.
then we'll have, those taxes will have to be paid at some point in the future, yes.
Okay,
But those would probably get paid, I mean, you'd work that in the agreement. If it wasn't us and somebody else came up, that'd probably be part of their deal too.
Well,
right?
it
right,
would
but
be.
you're holding, but I guess my point, I'm gonna be making a motion here. My point is that we've been holding the property since 2017, and, I think, did we put things into this agreement? Is this the agreement that we did, that if somebody came and they wanted to buy the property, that there was some way that we could, one of these deals that we did in Stevens North, there was some language in there, like if somebody came today and had cash on the barrelhead and wanted to buy the property.
We had that in the, we had that in some other agreements, it's not in this. We had it in maybe one other agreement, but it's not in this agreement.
So what was that language, do you recall?
It basically allowed the DSD to continue to market the property and then to go back to the prospective buyer and basically say, we've got an offer to close right away, and do you want to close and do you want to match it?
Right of first refusal.
Right, basically a right of first refusal.
Okay. Let me see. And then my last question was regarding the bondholders. I mean, I know like we've been having this push, we're trying to like Councilmember Askew says, we're trying to sell the property, I'm sure he would love to be rid of all this by the time his tenure wraps up. It would be amazing. So do the bondholders have any issues with us, belaboring this for many years,
They have not expressed any concerns. Frankly, when the DSD was able to sell the north piece, that contributed a large amount of money towards their to pay off the bonds, and that has satisfied some of the immediacy that they were experiencing with regard to the bonds. They received a close to $4.6 million, I think it was about $4 million, I'm sorry, disbursement out of that proceeds to pay off the bonds, and so they've been relatively satisfied since then.
Okay.
And then we did also close on the Alliance piece, which was for the tracks on the other end of the Corpus campus from here, and they received another $600,000 in net proceeds out of that to pay off the DSD bonds. So that has sort of assuaged their fears a little bit
Yeah.
because they've got some money recently. But they've always been supportive of, frankly, because it is above the market price.
Right.
Dan, oh, sorry, I was just going to ask, do you know what the balance is on those bonds by any chance? For our properties?
I can get it. I don't have it off the top of my head. I don't know. I can probably look it up. There's a spreadsheet, but off the top of my head, I don't know. You're offering to pay it off?
Well, I'm just trying to think of how we could potentially put that into the deal. What I was thinking is that if we don't go forward this year by the certain date, then maybe we could maybe do that as a contingency for maybe, again, we really think we're going to get it this year from these odds, but if we don't for some reason, maybe we just, at that
I feel
point.
like I heard that last
I know you
year.
have. You
I feel like I
probably
heard that
have,
last
and I'm not, it's just like, it's just, Florida Housing's really giving us a shot here, and I'm just, anyway, maybe we can get that, and we can talk something about that. If for some reason we don't get it this year, maybe if that's a concern, maybe we could pay those off.
So I guess for me, I feel like when we had this discussion last year, and I think it was Member Trace, was just like, I don't want to hear another extension for this. I think this is the project, but I guess for me, it's like 2017. Like this has been. I would at least and I'm just having a discussion to see if anybody agrees with these things. I would at least like to have on here that we continue to market this property, so that if somebody is interested and comes with money, and I think that's something we need to do just because this has been going on. And last year I felt like it was like, well, honestly, we're gonna get, we've heard this a few times. I love this project. I hope you get it. I'm fingers crossed, but also looking at it from the city perspective. You know, I'm glad that the taxes and assessments are paid, but we're still in arrears, so that's a concern for me. I don't know how much the taxes and assessments are annually.
The total on both these tracks is about $24,000 annually.
Yeah, so I would like to be brought up to date with the taxes and fees, just because, you know, if this, you know, the economy could drop out and our window of opportunity of selling this property closes and we've had it, you know, tied up since 2017, and then the city's gonna have to start paying that, you know, at some point. So I just want to, you know, I'd like to hear comments from the rest of you guys on that. I mean, don't take it as I love y'all's project. I hope you
Understand.
get it. I think we need the senior housing. I think it would be a perfect fit. I'm just concerned about the
Dan-
delay.
Dan, you were saying $24,000. So when we pay the 25 to get the, you know, the extension for the contract, then the taxes will be up to date, right?
No, there's still 2020 taxes. Right now, there's 2019 and 2020 taxes.
So you're running about a year behind?
We're running about a year behind on it. The typical thing, as I've said earlier, is that when we've closed on these transactions, those taxes are paid out of the sale proceeds. As the board's well aware, the DST doesn't see any of the net proceeds from it. That all goes to the bondholders. So the premise there was to make sure the DST didn't have to bring any additional money to satisfy those taxes and assessments. But Ms. Matheny's exactly right. If it doesn't close, then we're on the hook. So I think that's the backup plan I think you're looking for, is what happens if it doesn't close, and then we're dealing. Now, if you were to agree to pay both the taxes off, which would be an expenditure of about $50,000 total, then that would bring it all current, and then you know, the DST would obviously, we'd still be a year out,
Right.
but at least you'd be better protected.
Well, I certainly would like to see this project go through. I've certainly supported it every time, but I'm certainly in agreement with Councilmember Matheny that if a valid offer came through, we'd certainly like to be able to take it. I certainly kind of feel like I was in Vegas when you were going through all these
Yeah, I
the
know, it's a
knots
lot.
narrowed down, but it certainly sounds like it's getting better. And again, I like this project. I would like for us to do everything that we can to be able to keep this door open, but I also, if someone else comes along with an offer,
Well, I
I'd
can
like to
tell
have
you,
some kind of,
on the right of first refusal, we've done this before, where as long as we get past a certain date, we can put that back in place. So we'll probably just need like about a 2-month window on that, and then we could put the right of first refusal back in after a certain date, which I think would probably be, if I'm just thinking like maybe October 1st. So this contract extension would go, you know, this month, and then we could put the right of refusal back in on October 1st. I'll have to double check that, but I think that would be okay for us.
Is that because when your applications have to make sure there's a solid commitment to acquire the property?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, what you could do in that case is, basically, we could add some language that said, in theory, if the property doesn't close by October 1st.
Absolutely.
Then a right of refusal a right of first refusal would come in, and the DST could continue to market the property after October 1st.
Yeah, I think we could, I don't see any problem with that at all. Just want to confirm the date.
You want to confirm the date?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we could
Councilmember
certainly.
Trace.
And that's when you guys get your draft order, I guess?
Yeah,
Your lottery
so,
pick order?
yeah, so I'm going to say about third week of September. That's why I want to
Okay.
just double check the dates, but we should be getting that where we stand. And at that point,
So if you're one or two in those first two things, then.
right,
You're good to
absolutely.
go.
Yeah, then
Well-
put the right of refusal back in place. Anybody comes up, then we would have to buy the property. If they make you an offer, we have to match their offer or, you know, or walk away.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
That sounds like,
I mean, it doesn't get,
No,
The taxes paid,
this makes
but
me
yeah.
more comfortable, so
Yeah.
you guys aren't supporting the taxes issue.
it's coming out of closing proceeds anyway. I mean, it's.
But my concern is, if
If they
it
don't
doesn't close.
Well-
If it closes, it's a non-issue, but if it doesn't close, I mean, so do we say that as of, because October 1st, you're apparently going to know, so as of October 1st, then the 2020 taxes are paid?
If that's how you want to do it. Now, remember, the course we've been taking here is that we have been waiting as long as the DST has been waiting as long as it can to pay the taxes so that the DSD did not have to come out of pocket cash and the taxes could be paid out of the sale proceeds. So if the 2019 taxes are paid, then the way it works, there would be a tax certificate issued for the 2020 taxes, and then 3 years after that would be the drop dead date for that tax certificate to be redeemed. So there is a window that that has been relied on to keep the cost of the DSD down of about a 3-year period between the date that the taxes are due and the date that the taxes are paid. So there is that period. So there isn't a legal obligation to pay those taxes on the year, assuming they did not close in that immediate year thereafter. There's going to be a window
Yeah.
after.
I'm aware of that. I just don't think that's good practice.
It is-
Personally.
The DSD has done that since this project went, when we had trouble with the economy years ago. That has been
Sure.
one of the financial management tools that the DSD has used to keep
Yeah,
its costs
I
down.
get it. I'm going to make a motion.
Councilmember
Well,
Trace.
I got one more thing. Do you want to, if you guys are comfortable in October that you guys are going to close kind of regardless, would you be willing to pay that other $25,000?
I was just going to say, let's throw on the
That's
rest of the
what- that was
taxes
gonna be
for
my motion.
October 1st as well.
Right.
Let me just confirm that date, but I'm pretty sure October 1st would work. And we would say, look, if it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen, right? We're going to know. So, and we'd be comfortable with, if we're in kind of a gray area, we don't mind paying that 25 to get up to date and to continue everything going. So,
October is kind of the go, no-go?
Right, that was going to be my motion.
Well, subject to confirmation
Of
as
the
to
date.
of the actual date in October, right?
I'd
It'll
say
be in
October 1st is a good date, but I'll get you something in writing tomorrow just to
Okay.
confirm that. if
Okay.
That's all right.
So my motion is going to be to approve this, subject to, and I'm going to say no later than November 1st. So you can check your date, but no later than November 1st of 2021. That we'll add on a right of first refusal, as well as the taxes and assessments will be paid up to date for the parcels.
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Askew. Any other discussion? Everyone's clear on that? You're clear on that? Mr. Manzares?
Yes, sir.
And then
Got
one
it.
more thing, Mr. Manzares, if you could send out that spreadsheet again, up to date, of all the debts on the property.
You mean, do you want the spreadsheet of the bonds and the tax assessments, or just the,
Whatever you have, I mean, just up to date of
Okay.
what's owed on all the properties, just to help with some of the retail ones as well.
Okay.
Or corporate campus ones.
okay.
And then just so you guys know, I don't.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll for the approval of resolution number 2021-007R with the amendments that were added?
Member Askew,
Aye.
Member Trace,
Aye.
Member Matheny,
Aye.
Chairman Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. And I'll imagine I'll be
luck.
seeing you next month, right?
Well, we'll talk, let me look at that and I'll circle back with you on
All
that.
right. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3?
Discussion and possible action regarding moving the retail center proposed plaza sign from Lot 1 to Lot 2.
Good evening, DSD Board. Bismael Abreu, Business Navigator. And last time I was in front of this board, staff recommended locating the proposed plaza sign for the Stephen Retail on Lot 1. The reason why, that was the only lot that was available that was not under contract. However, this lot has some limitations regarding visibility. One, it has a large berm in the front. Second, it's located on kind of a curved road, part of Nolte Road. And the third one, it has a 20-foot Greenway Preserve landscaping buffer in the front that will push the sign to be located behind it, so at least 21 feet away from the property line. Since then, it has come to the attention that Lot 2 is back into full DSD control, meaning it's no longer on the contract. So staff is recommending that we locate the actual plaza sign on this lot because it provides better visibility. It is away from the berm. It's on a straight path of road of Nolte Road, so both the outgoing and incoming traffic can see it. And even though the Greenway Preserve is still up there in the front of the property line, it's still a little bit more manageable because it doesn't have the berm in the front. So I'm here standing in front of you today, just asking for direction if you would like to proceed with this proposed recommendation. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Trace, is your line
Sorry.
on? Councilmember Matheny?
Thank you. Can you go back to the picture? So I asked the question to staff about putting the sign within the easement that does not allow for the sign. So when you pull up that OR book and page that's back there with that cyan dash line, it says that you're not allowed to build any above-ground structures. So staff has told me that they're still working on vacating that, so I'm just throwing it out there, like, I mean, can we just like conceptually approve it roughly in this area, like, so that if it gets moved 20 feet, like, it's not gonna have to come back?
Yeah, sure, you can do that.
The other issue that I had was about how far away from the road it is, so I was told that there was this greenway, so does the greenway have language that precludes a sign?
It says no development.
Yeah, I don't think
It
it
can be-
Is a sign considered development? I mean, I would just, my argument would be, you know, put it where it needs to be effective as a sign. You know, to me, a sign isn't development. I mean, is that something that we could,
Yes.
okay,
Do you want me to explain why, or do you want?
sure.
You are the DSD, obviously, sitting as the board, but when you sit as the city council, the city would be the one that would enforce the use of that greenway. Because it's a platted greenway in the jurisdiction of the city.
Okay.
So you would be the one, the city would be the one making the determination about what development means.
Okay.
And you already expressed your opinion about what development means.
So I would make a motion that we approve this in the conceptually located area here, not exact. And I would like to see it moved out of the easement that precludes it, because, you know, I know we're trying to vacate that, but I would move it to wherever it makes the most sense to be successful as a sign. And I don't think that it, in my opinion, the greenway and this doesn't count as development, so I'd like to move it up closer to the road to wherever it meets safety and sign standards in the rough proximity of where it is.
So typically, the land development code for this type of sign has a setback of 5 feet from the property line. So essentially, we will follow that if we go forward with your motion. Is that okay?
I don't know, yeah, that's fine, I don't know what the clear zone is for the road and all that, but
Would
I
have
would
to
just.
meet those standards
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, whatever, to meet whatever sighting standards, but I would not allow the greenway to push it 20-plus feet away from the road. That's my meandering motion.
And I'll second it for discussion. Question, when, I forget who was under contract, I think Barry Compton had all these under contract at one point. He had an entrance somewhere. Are we making sure to avoid where that makes sense? I didn't know if it was between Lot 1 and 2 or if it was on the east side of Lot 2.
There was a concept plan that was presented a long time ago that showed it as a joint access between lots 1 and 2.
Okay.
When I believe when the DSD board saw that, you looked favorably upon it and thought that that might be something that you want to consider. So we've taken that into account, that as a future possibility, if it needs to be, for whoever ultimately develops these properties. And to confirm, the Compton deal has terminated, and that's, that's gone.
And to kind of add to the meandering motion, can we make sure that if that entrance comes in, we're staying out of the clear zone and everything of that, to where the entrance can still function and you don't have a sign blocking your view?
Of course.
I know it'd be a right in, right out only, but just to make sure.
We have a motion with a meandering addition.
I'll accept his amendment, right? I have to accept his amendment?
Yes.
Do we have you thoroughly confused, Mr. Attorney?
You guys are voting on it. It's up to you whether you
I
understand.
just don't want to be like, oh, we're moving it 10 feet, they got to come back to us. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Understood.
not.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we got clear
Whatever.
direction.
And did we
Make it work.
put funding towards building the sign, or we're just putting the allowance there that if one of these lots sell, they can put in the sign and the easement's there?
I don't know.
I believe the intent was to have some type of owner association take care of the signage. The way we are amending, we have to amend the PUD, it will be striking down any possibility of building any other type of sign besides a plaza sign, and it has to be built on the location of the plaza sign easement. So whoever buys and comes in to develop, they have to abide by that, because that's what staff will only approve once we do all the changes that we're working on.
And what we will end up eventually doing is we'll probably bring a dedication back for the actual location and dedicate it to the existing business. There's an association for the, and dedicated to them, and it'll be between them and the, whoever the ultimate end users are as to how the sign get constructed and how it gets maintained.
Councilmember Matheny.
I have one more thought. Is there, like, aesthetics for the sign that are out in this area? Is there like a Stevens Plantation sign aesthetic, or
It has to have a fountain in it.
like flashing lights, lightning
Well,
function?
it'll obviously have to meet the city sign code requirements related to lighting and all that and size. I do not think there are specific architectural standards adopted for signage for this type of monument sign is what it basically would be, so.
What the
Okay.
city currently allows, but per the sign code, is a monument style
Okay.
plaza sign.
Any other discussion? We have a motion by Councilmember Matheny, a second by Board Member Trace. And I think you've been given directions on.
We're good.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Vice Chair Trace,
Aye.
Member Matheny,
Aye.
Member Askew,
Aye.
Chair Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
We have no other business. With that, we'll be adjourned.
I have one question.
Are we? I'm
Sorry.
sorry, go right ahead.
In Ms. Malolos's little letter that says an ALF for track 6 and 8A, I thought that was like a mini industrial building.
No, it's an assisted living facility.
Remember when we did, like, looked at renderings and everything
Now,
of,
that was for when, that was a prior owner that was interested in it.
okay,
Was thinking about doing a mini industrial / retail complex on it. And as you might recall, we had a discussion where they were confused by the implication of the A bonds, and we were trying to explain that to them, and then they ended up backing out of the deal because they wanted the A bonds removed they wanted to offer less of a purchase price because they discovered they had to take on the A bonds. And then the bondholders were not in agreement. At the same time, this offer was working through, and so we ended up doing it, so.
I just forgot that. And then do we know when that's going to close?
The Rimrock deal, now, let me get back to you on that. I know that the title review period actually expires tomorrow, and we've given them the title work as we're working through it. I think the inspection period probably has about maybe another 30 to 60 days, so it should close by the end of the year.
Okay, and I think that spreadsheet will help iron out, that spreadsheet of all the debt that's on the properties will help iron out any tire kickers too that we get on these properties to, I guess that was the issue before. I just forgot we went under contract with an ALS.
Right, and we did provide those spreadsheets to the prospective buyer in that the same way we did it, and we tried, and we explained, I'm not sure how they got confused about it, but the deal wasn't going to work for them when they found out that they had to absorb those.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else? We're done.
Thank you.